Greetings, I'm Elgin Davis, a former collegiate and professional football player in the National Football League. My journey in life has allowed me to have a very unique platform, and today I would like to use that platform to share with you a special bond between two players in the NFL that became everlasting friends. I first met Daryl Usher in training camp while playing for the New England Patriots. He turned out to be more than just a teammate. He became my brother. But most of all, Daryl Usher became a friend of mine. But his beautiful life was cut short by someone that had been diagnosed with mental issues. He was a person that was deranged. He was mad and angry over a relationship that went sour. So this particular person decided to take matters in his own hands by shooting and killing my best friend, his companion, and eventually killing himself. What a horrific tragedy. It was probably one of the most horrific tragedies in NFL history. And it is my job to make his story known. And I first like to bring this attention to my platform by talking about mental illness, domestic violence, and unsafe gun laws. Those things are bringing about pain, frustration, disappointment. It is a national crisis. See, it all started for me when I was a child. My mom and her new husband, my stepfather, he had been diagnosed with being bipolar. And I don't know if you ever have lived with someone that was bipolar, but for me as a child, it was horrific. The hell that me and my mom went through, the suffering. I can recall many times, most times it started once I had went to sleep, and it started out with furniture being broken, glass being shattered. It started out with anger and fighting, and all I can hear of my mom is just crying. I mean, do you really know what that is like to be a child? And you hear your mom, you hear her crying, and you know that someone is hurting her. Sometimes it wasn't just physical for my family. Sometimes it was mental, it was verbal. And I can't even begin to tell you some of the horrific words I heard. And it affected me in many ways. I found myself being withdrawn, quiet, not knowing how to deal with my feelings and emotions as a child. It was a little bit frustrating. I was always a loner. And football gave me an outlet to channel my pain and not understanding as a child. And so it was very difficult. My father, on the other hand, was an alcoholic. So can you imagine as a little child in both households having to deal with that type of pressure and stress as a young man? And I will share this with you. As I got older, the less I was going to be dealing with that type of situation. I was going to take action in my own hand, kind of like Daryl's killer did. In this case, for me, it was a crowbar. By this time, I was a teenager, no longer 6-7 years old. I'm so glad I didn't hit my stepfather with that crowbar, because I probably would have killed him. And I probably would have been serving time in jail. I wouldn't have gotten my scholarship. I wouldn't have gotten drafted to the National Football League and all of the wonderful things that have happened in my life as a way of staying focused and doing the right thing, it paid off. My second encounter was a family member who went off into the military once they left high school, and 9 months he came back a different person. We couldn't recognize him. He was a totally different person. And he lived in a room somewhere in the back of the house, rarely came out, rarely took a bath, stayed in the house making strange noises and sounds that we had no idea what was going on. And back then, mental illness was a badge of disgrace, and we tried to hide it away from the general public, and we were really embarrassed to talk about these things. But now we know this is a disease. Now we know there's help out there. And if you have ever experienced mental illness, it's something that no one wants to deal with. And to my sisters, there's nearly every woman in some capacity have dealt with domestic violence. So I'm asking you to support the efforts of what we're doing for this new film, A Friend of Mine, that will bring awareness to gun laws, bring awareness to mental illness, domestic violence. We ask for your support. There's many organizations out there now. This is not the time to be silent. It is the time to speak up. So I'd like to encourage you, make that step for the person that you love, and let's get them help. God bless you. I'm Elgin Davis, and I'm out.